This C-SPAN footage of a fictional crisis in the country of Babel was part of one of the most significant events ever organized by CNA. In the 1990s, the Cold War had ended, but the military was being asked to react to complex humanitarian crises that were arising from political chaos, not just natural disasters. And CNA was helping military leaders learn to negotiate these interventions, how to coordinate with political authorities and with non-governmental organizations. So in 1995, CNA organized a 2-day conference on military support to complex humanitarian emergencies. We brought together military, diplomatic, and humanitarian leaders from around the world. The conference began with expert panels on interventions in Bosnia, Haiti, and Somalia, a panel of senior military officers, and a panel of humanitarian leaders. For example, Catherine McGrady led the session on Somalia, since she had been an analyst in Operation Restore Hope. She was joined by leaders who had also been on the ground in Somalia: U.S. Marine Corps and Canadian commanders, an ambassador, and leaders from the UN and from a relief organization. Then we capped off the conference with a game we called the Terror of Babel, played in front of a live television audience. For the role of the Secretary of Defense, we had former Secretary of Defense Frank Carlucci.
I come out saying that our military, while certainly we have the capability to invade and rule, not designed for this kind of situation.
The Speaker of the House was Tom Foley, only recently retired from that job.
The American public is going to want to know why it is necessary for us to have forces on the ground.
The actual Assistant Secretary General of the UN for Peacekeeping played himself.
You are the only global superpower now. It is your historic destiny to be a leader in an integrated and interdependent world community.
And the rest of the players included a White House advisor, the Secretary of State, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs for both the U.S. and Canada, the Senate Majority Leader, and the National Security Advisor, all of them with actual experience. The game was designed by CNA's Peter Perla, author of The Art of Wargaming, with scenario support from a big cast of CNA experts. In the first half of the game, the players had to decide how to respond to a civil war that was forcing up to 1 million refugees into the West Bank. The idea was to put people into a real scenario where you have to respond in a short amount of time. It's easy to sit back in your armchair and say, I would talk to so-and-so and get the result I want. We were looking for insights into how that would really operate. The timing of the military commitment was a key theme that emerged. The international community was calling for quick action.
So there must be a capability brought to bear, parallel with the political ceasefire actions, to move into Babel. You can't separate the two.
While Congress wanted a pause until it authorized intervention.
I very frankly think that some of our members are going to say that President Bush asked the Congress for authority before he committed American forces in Desert Storm. He not only consulted, he asked for prior authority. And we'll want to know whether the administration is going to ask our members to vote, to cast a vote to give this authority. And if they're asked to do that, they're going to have some pretty clear answers.
By the end of the first half of the game, the leaders had decided to take part in a limited multinational humanitarian intervention.
It is 6 weeks later. The U.S. President did feel that he had to go to the Congress for approval, and he won after a sustained fight by a very slim majority in each house. On that basis, the U.S. has done what the National Security Council recommended. We have about 7,500 forces on the ground in the West Bank area. That includes logistical and medical support personnel and combat and MP forces.
But another key takeaway from the conference and from previous CNA research was that intervention in humanitarian emergencies can lead to 2 important effects: the magnet effect and the lightning rod effect. Stability and aid become a magnet for still more refugees, and American forces act as a lightning rod that attracts forces of terror. This scenario was no different.
Mr. McFarland, I'm sorry, I just got a news announcement. 2 trucks carrying American military men have been exploded, have been blown up in our zone. We have 42 dead, and Hamas has been on the radio claiming credit for it, saying it wants all foreign and UN forces out of the West Bank.
This led to a tug-of-war that we had seen in real interventions between parts of the national and international security community arguing for steady, dependable support on the one hand, and an American public that some see as fickle on the other. When the going got tough, the tough were ready to get going home.
And, you know, the polls are now lopsided in disapproval of continued U.S. presence in the region. The talk show hosts are burning up the airwaves. Don't hit and run, withdraw and then hit hard, and hit again and again.
The United States, either by political pressure or President's decision, withdraws. Surely the French, the Canadians, and the British will before long. And that vacuum will certainly present an opportunity for Iraq to be in downtown Babel in 24 hours.
The goal of this seminar game was not to solve the terror of Babel, but for the participants and the audience of analysts and military officers to learn about the interplay of national security decisions in humanitarian emergencies.
Thank you. As I said, we are learning to work with the United States political system, and this last hour has been the most educational that I've had for a long time.
What we really learned was how to communicate with one another.
Then I'd like to thank the staff of CNA. If I start naming them, I'll leave out 4 or 5 crucial ones. This exercise reflected a great deal of work, and it seems to me was very, very professionally and excellently done. Staff of CNA.